Hello students, so here your biology teacher and we are going to start with fourth lecture of chapter number 3, Plant Kingdom. As previously, we have talked about various divisions coming under kingdom Plantae like Thallophyta, then Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms and Angiosperms. In the previous lecture, we have talked about the basic characteristics and the mode of reproduction in bryophytes that are amphibians of plant kingdoms. They are divided into two categories, liverworts and mosses. So today, let's start with these liverworts. So if you see the diagram on the right hand side, if I zoom it, then you can see that these are the thallus-like structures and a special features which are present on them. These are cup-shaped structures called as gammae. So this is a very peculiar feature because these gammae help them in vegetative reproduction. When gammae detach from the thallus means a plant body, they can give rise to a new bryophyte or a liverwort. They can grow in moist, shady habitats, in the bank streams of the water bodies, on the marshy areas, on the humid soil, even on the logs of the trees, and deep in the woods. Again, because it is still not differentiated into true roots, stems, and leaves, so we call the body as a thallus structure, and most important example is Marchantia. It is divided into male thallus and female thallus. Then it is written that the thallus body is dorsiventral. It means it has two sides, upper and the lower sides. Simply if you see leaves have the upper ventral side and the lower dorsal side. Then leafy members have tiny leaf-like appendages. So they are not true leaves but they look like leaves. Now, if we talk about reproduction in liverworts, as we have already studied most of the characteristics in the bryophytes introduction, it will remain same. The general vegetative reproduction takes place by either fragmentation or by the specialized structures which are cup-shaped structures called as gammae. They are green in color because they have chloroplast in them having chlorophyll pigment and they can photosynthesize. They are made up of many cells and they are acting as asexual buds. Now if we talk about simply buds, so as you have seen in Hydra, whenever the buds detach from the parent body, the bud is able to arise into a new individual. So similar happens with these also. Now, asexual reproduction is done. Number 1, fragmentation. Number 2, by these asexual buds that are gammae structures. Now let's come to the sexual reproduction. So there can be two organs may be present on the same thallus body or they can be present on the different thallus. If archegoniophores are there, then it is called as female thallus. If anthridiophores are there, then it is called as male thallus. So these different sex organs, they are present in them. Now, as we have already studied gametophyte and sporophyte body, so main thallus body of bryophyte is gametophyte and the topmost part is called as sporophyte. So after meiosis is which kind of division? Reductional division. So spores will be produced. When spores will germinate, what will it form? It will form gametophyte. Gametophyte is haploid in bryophytes. It will give rise to two different kind of gametes, male and female. When they unite, it will form zygote. Zygote is always diploid and it will give rise to sporophytic body that is diploid in nature. So let's study the life cycle of these structures in detail so that you can come to understand the various features that how this is going to happen. So if you look upon this diagram and if we start from the gametophyte body, this is very simple to learn and even everything is explained in this. It is a multicellular haploid structure. It means single set of chromosomes are there. Gametophyte will give rise to gametes. One are the male gametes and other are the female gametes. Which kind of cell division will take place? Mitosis. Now the fusion of the gametes will give rise to zygote. Fusion is called as fertilization. And I told you gametes are always haploid and zygote is always diploid. When zygote will again undergo further divisions, but here the division will again mitosis, means equational division. Which body will form? Sporophyte body. Sporophyte is diploid because it is formed from zygote. Same number of chromosomes will remain. Sporophyte will give rise to different kind of spores, but now the cell division has changed. It is meiosis, which is called as reductional division, and these spores are haploid, and these haploid spores will grow with the help of mitosis, and they can form easily gametophytic body. So this kind of change of life cycle, from gametophyte, sporophyte is formed. From sporophyte, gametophyte is formed. This is called as alternation of generations. I am repeating, when the different plant bodies in the same structure, they are formed in the life cycle of any plant, this is called as alternation of generations. So I hope this liverworts topic is clear to you. Now let's come to the mosses. So mosses are also categorized. They have the life cycle in the form of gametophyte. But now gametophyte is divided into two different stages. First stage is called protonema stage and second stage is called as leafy stage. To understand, we have a better diagram for it. Here you see the gametophytic and sporophyte body. On the top left hand side, the sporophytes will produce spores. Because sporophyte is diploid, so which kind of division will take place to form spores? Meiosis, because spores are haploid in nature. Now the two kind of bodies or two kind of stages which are produced, one is called as protonema stage and second is called as leafy stage. Can you see the brown color structure and the small leaf-like structures? Yes. So leaf-like structures, they are called as leafy stage, and brown stem-like structure is called as protonema stage. Ultimately, they will give rise to two kind of gametophytes. These gametophytes, they will produce two different kind of gametes. One will be sperm and other will be egg. Egg is formed in archegonium and sperm is formed in antheridium. Sperms and eggs are always haploid because they are gametes. After fertilization, they will form zygote, and then after zygote, sporophytic body will produce. So this is very important. This is the life cycle of bryophytes that play an important role to understand alternation of generations. In this case, we will talk about that this sporophytic body which is produced after gametophyte body, and these protonema and leafy stages, they consist of upright and many leaves which are arranged spirally to one another, and they consist, even they can be attached with the help of rhizoids to any surface, and they bear sex organs. So what are the sex organs? Antheridium and archegonium are the sex organs. Next is almost same. Vegetative reproduction takes place by fragmentation or budding. In sexual reproduction, two kinds of organs are there, antheridium and archegonium. After fertilization, zygote will give rise to sporophyte. Sporophyte has three parts: foot, seta and capsule. This is clear from here. The upper part is called as capsule, then the stem-like structure is called as seta, and the lower part is called as foot, right? So these structures, they will be the sporophytic body, and the capsule, they contain spores, because then spores are produced after meiosis. And you have to learn, few of the examples are given: Phaneria, Polytrichum, Sphagnum. So with this, we are finishing with our bryophytes, and now I'm going to start with pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are the third kind of division, or it is the categorization of kingdom Plantae. Two examples or two categories are coming under pteridophytes. One are horsetails and second are ferns. You must have seen ferns that are mostly grown as ornamental plants in the gardens, in the outer boundaries, because they have medicinal purposes and even they are acting as a very good soil binder, so they can increase the fertility of the soil and even they help in pouring down the rainwater inside the soil. So evolutionary, they were the first terrestrial plants. Why we are saying first terrestrial plants? Because if you remember the very first division, that is thallophyte or algae, what we have said, where it is growing, it can grow either in fresh water or in marine water. So what was a habitat? Aquatic. Number second, we have talked about bryophytes. Again, we have said that they are called as amphibians of plant kingdom, means they require water. Either they can grow in water or they can grow on land. But again, the condition is the land should be humid, it should be marshy, it should have some moisture around it, right? But pteridophytes, they can easily grow on the land. That's why these are called as the very first terrestrial plants. And the other feature that is differentiating from thallophyte and bryophyta is pteridophytes have true roots, true stem, and true leaves. Number third important feature that differentiate from the first two categories, that these pteridophytes have xylem and phloem as vascular bundles. In the previous divisions, there was absence of xylem and phloem. Now we will talk about what about the dominating stage in case of pteridophyte. So again, it is gametophytic plant body. But in pteridophyte, main plant body is sporophyte, right? Because sporophyte has true roots, true stem, and true leaves. So ferns you mostly have seen around your surroundings. Leaves, they are usually very small, looking like leaflets, right? So as you see neem plant, as you have seen cuddy leaves, where leaves having different leaflets. So ferns are also having the same structure. And in case of Selaginella, that are called as microphylls because they are very small. But in ferns, they can be bigger in structure. That's why they are called as macrophylls. Then, now comes to a very important point. For that, we have to turn over to the next page. These are the various diagrams of different examples of pteridophytes. Number one is Selaginella. Number second is Equisetum. That is very important because most of the labelings are important in this case. Number third is fern, that is usually grown in the pots. And last is a Salvinia. Why so many roots are present? Because it requires some damp soil to grow, right? Let's talk about Equisetum. You can see true roots. Sometimes they are written as rhizome, but you can even write it as roots because they are true in nature. Then you can see branches, internode, nodes, stem is there. And now, what is that structure present on the top known as strobilus? And I have mentioned it as sporophylls. If I zoom it, you can see strobilus is not a single entity. It is made up of many small structures that are united together and making a cone-like structure. So individually they are called as sporophylls, and collectively when the whole structure is there, that is called as strobilus. So this was very important. So here they have written sporophytes. Why we call it as sporophyte? Because the main plant body is sporophyte. This structure is sporophyte. This structure is sporophyte, and they have sporangia that are subtended by leaf-like appendages called as sporophylls. So strobilus and sporangia, they are the same thing. In some cases, sporophylls may form distinct compact structures which are called as cones, or we call them as strobili. And then sporangia, it will produce spores. If from the name it is very clear, sporophylls contain sporangia, right? And sporangia will produce spores with which division? Meiosis. Why meiosis is required? Because as we have already studied, sporophyte is always diploid and spores are mostly haploid. Here why I am saying mostly, because sometimes they can be diploid also. But two things will never change. Gametes are always haploid and zygote is always diploid. So here spores which are produced, they are haploid. They will germinate and what will they form? They will form gametophytic structure. What do we call the gametophyte structure? We call it as prothallus. To make it more clear, life cycle of fern is very important. You can see mature sporophyte on the left hand side. Yes. So leaf-like structures which appear on them are known as sporangium. What will they produce? They will produce spores. And how they will disperse? With the help of wind, with the help of air they can disperse. These spores are able to form mature gametophyte. This green color structure with small root-like structures is known as prothallus. What is the function of gametophyte? It will form two kind of gametes. One are male gametes called as sperms and other are female gametes called as egg. After that, these gametes will unite, fuse with fertilization, zygote will form. What is the ploidy of zygote? That is diploid. And zygote will give rise to new sporophyte. New sporophyte will germinate and it will form mature sporophyte. So I am repeating, sporophyte is diploid. Spores are haploid. Gametophyte is also haploid. Gametes are also haploid. Zygote is diploid. Sporophyte is diploid. So wherever red arrows you can see, that is showing the structure where diploid flow is going on. And wherever blue structures you can see, blue arrows, that is showing the haploid structures. Let's come back. So we were talking about this gametophyte structure called as prothallus. So what kind of requirements are there? It requires cool, damp, shady places to grow. And here again important point. As we have studied, bryophytes require water as a medium for fertilization. Similar limitations are here also in pteridophytes. That's why if they are growing on the land, but they require water for fertilization. Gametophytes, it again bear two kind of parts. One is the male sex organ called as antheridium or antheridia, and the female sex organ is called as archegonium or archegonia. What are the differences? Why I'm saying antheridium, antheridia? Antheridium is singular, antheridia is plural. Archegonium is singular and archegonia is the plural term. So whenever these antheridium, what they will produce? They will produce antherozoite. These are the male gametes. So water is always required for the transfer. So they will be released and it will come to archegonium. Fusion will take place. What will form? Zygote. Zygote will undergo divisions and form sporophyte. Who is the dominating stage in the pteridophytes? Sporophyte. But the main plant body is gametophyte. Then majority of pteridophytes, they produce same kind of spores, means same size. They are called as homosporous. Examples are there, right? But in another cases like Slaginella and Salvinia, they produce two different kind of spores. One can be big and other can be small, and this kind of division is called as heterosporous. You must remember isogamy, anisogamy and oogamy. That in that case we have talked about two different kind of gametes. Here we are talking about two different kind of spores. The spores which are big, they are called as megaspores, and the spores which are small, they are called as microspores. Ultimately, megaspores will give rise to female gametophyte and microspores will give rise to male gametophyte. But they will be present on the same parent plant. Develop into embryo that will take place in the gametophyte, and this event is a precursor to a seed habit, considered an important step in evolution. Why so? Because we have not talked about any seed formation in algae, in bryophytes or in pteridophytes, but seeds are produced in gymnosperms and angiosperms. Every fruit you eat consists of seed inside them, because most of the fruits which we are eating, they are coming from the flowering plants, which are the angiosperms, right? So how this conversion has taken place, you must have now consider into your mind that how algae, they were very simple, then bryophytes, they have become little bit complex, but now these pteridophytes are more complex. Then are four classes coming under pteridophytes. Number one is Psilopsida, P is silent, then Lycopsida, then Sphenopsida and Pteropsida. So you have to learn one example of each class, and details of these classes will be studied in higher classes in graduation. So what we have done today, we have talked about two different divisions of bryophytes, that were liverworts and the mosses, and then we have talked about pteridophytes. So you have to remember properly that who is the dominating stage, from where gametophyte converts into sporophyte and sporophyte again converts into gametophyte. So kindly look in the PDFs which I will attach in the comment section, so that you can draw these life cycles of various kind of plants which are important. With this, the paragraphs will be more clear. Thank you, students.